Denmark and Poland are two very amazing countries that are filled with pride, good people, and a vast amount of culture, traditions, and heritage. And here on FTD Facts, we've been fortunate enough to start learning a lot about these two countries in our past videos. However, today on FTD Facts, we are not looking at them individually, but together and seeing what strengths, weaknesses, and charms these two great nations have. What's going on, guys? My name is Dave Wapple, and welcome back to FTD Facts, the channel where we talk about people, cultures, and places from all around the world. Now, normally here on the channel, we generally talk about countries in their own separate videos, but this is a new segment where we take two different countries and bring them together. Now, here on the channel, keep in mind, guys, that we aren't necessarily saying, hey, this country is better than that country. What we're really doing is trying to bring two different nations together and show what is great about each other's countries. Now, to give you guys a heads up, this video is brought to you by our regular sponsor, that is Grammarly.com, and I'll talk about that at the end of the video. Also, guys, before we get in the video, I want to know from you guys, what is your favorite thing about your country? Also, if you guys have a recommendation for a future FTD Facts video, if you want us to put another two countries together and compare them, let me know down there. You know where it is, sound off. So Poland and Denmark, they are two unique different countries nestled perfectly in what is known as Europe. And although they are very close to each other being neighbors, they do have some major differences, but they also have some very interesting similarities. So to start all this, let's take a look at population, because this is where it definitely is a little bit different. Denmark, for example, has a population of 5,748,769 people as an estimate for 2017. Now with this, it has a population density of 133.9 people per square kilometer. Poland, however, has 38,634,007 people for a 2017 estimate, and ironically, it only has 123 people per square kilometer. Why is that? Because here's the thing, guys, Poland may actually seem like a bigger country. This is because its land size, if you look at Denmark in Europe, it's way bigger. For example, Denmark's mainland is only 42,931 square kilometers, ranking 130th in the world when it comes to land size. But let's not forget, Denmark also has Faroe Island and Greenland. Faroe Island comes in at approximately 1,393.4 square kilometers, and Greenland is a whopping 2,166,086 kilometers square, which actually makes Greenland the largest island on the planet. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, wait a minute, are these actually part of Denmark? Although it is true they are not part of the mainland of Denmark, they are an anonymous Danish dependent territory with limited self-government. And totaling all of this land, it comes to 2,210,579 square kilometers. However, Poland, yes, is a little bit smaller with 312,679 square kilometers. So when it comes to these two countries, believe it or not, they actually do have something in common. They are both European countries, but they don't actually use the euro as money. For the Polish, they use the Polish zloty with its shortened form, the PLN, and as well, the Danish don't use the euro, having the Danish krone, or the DKK. And when it comes to comparing the monetary rates of these two countries, if you took one Danish krone, it would equal 0.56 Polish zlotys. And with money, we should also talk about GDP. How much do these countries have when it comes to gross domestic product? When it comes to nominal GDP, Poland sits at 509,955 million, ranking it 23rd in the world with a GDP per capita of 13,429. However, Denmark has 302,571 million, making it rank 32nd in the world with a per capita of 53,242. So how do they make this money? Well, it's not just jobs, it's also imports and exports. That's a big thing as well. So for Poland, the exports equal about 196 billion, ranking at 19th in the world, and imports are as well 19th, coming in at 186 billion. Overall, the highest products from this GDP are vehicle parts, coming in at 5.7, with 40% of these parts going to Germany, and 3.9% of its GDP equaling cars, with 23% going to Germany as well. Its imports are oddly enough slightly reversed, with 3.9% cars and 3.6% car parts. Now Denmark, its exports sit at 82 82 billion, ranking it 31st in the world, and imports come in at 83.8 billion, ranking it at 29th. And oddly enough, some of the biggest things are pig meat coming in at 32%, in which 19% goes to Germany, 3.8% of electronic engineering sets, which 35% goes to Germany, and of course electronic engineering sets come in at 3.8%, with 35% of that going to Germany, and 3.2% equals packaged medicaments. And when it comes to its imports, 4.8% of its GDP is from cars. Now this may all be good, but one thing we definitely gotta talk about and compare is living expenses within the country. And for this, we're gonna look at what would happen if you moved from Poland to Denmark. Now, moving from Poland to Denmark, you will see a major increase of what you have to spend on. As a matter of fact, food is 138% higher, housing is 101% higher, clothes equals 65% higher, transportation at 108% higher, healthcare is also 70% higher, and entertainment coming in at a whopping 119% higher. And to break that down, if you were to go out and actually have a meal in Poland, it would probably cost you about 26 Polish zlotys. And to buy a 900-foot place in a normal location, it would equal approximately 2,786 zlotys. But as for Denmark, for the same meal, it would cost 121 krone, and for the same living space, it would cost approximately 9,679 krone. Overall, when it comes to living in Denmark, it would cost 108% more than it would in Poland. Now keep in mind, when it comes to wages, it is roughly 13 zlotys per hour, which equates to approximately $3.88 in the US. But Denmark has no minimum wage, as it is negotiated between unions and employers, and it is thought that it is roughly 110 DKK, which equates to about $16 an hour. However, this is just all ballpark figures, especially when it comes to living expenses, because that changes from town to town, because within both countries there are some really expensive places to live. And as a matter of fact, in Denmark, Copenhagen is one of the most expensive places to live in the entire world. And besides Copenhagen, Denmark's most expensive cities are Silkeborg, Aarhus, and Aalborg. And for Poland, these cities are Warsaw, Gliwice, Krakow, Gdańsk, and Wrocław. Now, considering we're talking about money, we need to look at national debt of these countries. How much do these countries have? At the time of recording this video, the national debt clock puts Poland at approximately $1,487,175,000. This would equate each citizen owing 26,091 zlotys, and this would also equate to the country paying 48,824,921,802 zlotys in interest a year. Now, Denmark sits at 775,421,296,000, with each citizen owing approximately 137,000 krone, creating also approximately 18,359,328,220 krone in interest. And if you were to stack the debt high into single dollar bills, Denmark's stack would equate to 18,902 miles high, and would stack high enough that it would reach 0.08 the length to the moon. As for Poland, its stack would be 8,314 miles high, and would equal the length of only 0.03 when it comes to the length from Earth to the moon. Now let's talk about military. What do these two countries have? Because we've talked about money, we gotta talk about guns and ammunition. For Denmark, the manpower equals 2,500,000, with 2,200,000 fit for service. Poland has approximately 19 million people when it comes to its manpower, and approximately 15,585,000 fit for service. And when it comes to Denmark's active service, it has approximately 20,800 soldiers and 54,350 soldiers in reserve. Poland, however, has 109,650 active personnel personnel, with 75,000 in reserve. Now, when it comes to the budget for the military of these two countries, Denmark, for example, has $4,440,000,000 for its military budget, and Poland has $9,360,000,000. Denmark has roughly 84 aircraft, where Poland has 465. As for tanks, Denmark has 57, Poland, however, has 1,065. And when it comes to the Denmark Navy, it does beat Poland with 90 assets, and Poland only having about 83 Navy assets. But however, you can't have a military without having the liquid that will help make the engines move, and that is oil. How much oil do these two countries have? So Denmark produces roughly 165,200 barrels of oil a day. However, they have about 611 million barrels in reserve, and I think that's a safe bet to say that they'd be okay if anything really bad happened. But Poland, however, only produces about 19,260 barrels a day, but does have 100 million barrels in reserve for its military and other uses. So we've got military down, we've got land size, population, how much money these countries make. Let's talk now about healthcare. So for these two countries, they are both publicly funded. Poland has a national health fund, which is free for all citizens as long as they apply in an insured category, which basically means that they are insured by a company or they have a spouse or a family member who is insured as well. Now, as for Denmark, its healthcare system is free, but the money for its healthcare is gained through taxes. Now, in Denmark, for example, they spend approximately 10.4% of its GDP as of 2016 on healthcare. And for a citizen's life expectancy in Denmark, it equals 78.8%. And as well, they have approximately 2.6 beds per 1,000 people. Now for Poland, they spend about 6.4% of their GDP on healthcare, and their citizens have a life expectancy of 73.5 years, and they have 6.6 beds per 1,000 people. Now that's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the healthcare system, but let's move on and do a general idea of the education of these two countries. Now, to give you a good idea for these countries, we are going to equate all the dollars into US dollars. For education in Denmark, they spend approximately 11,499 US dollars per student. And in 2014, their scores for math were 516, scores for reading were 489, and science was 505. But Poland spends roughly 7,026 US dollars per student, and its math scores came in at 510, reading came in at 491, and science came in at 504. Now in Denmark, schools are actually free for its citizens, as well as other countries from the EU, such as places like, say, Switzerland. And this is applicable for Switzerland students who have a permanent residence card or a temporary residence card. But for all other international students that come from other places from around the world, their tuition fees a year are anywhere between $8,000 to $21,000. But, however, the good part is that there are places that you can get scholarships and government grants if you are an international student as well. For Poland, if you have a full-time studies in a Polish language, the classes are for free, and as well, classes are for free for Polish students. And for some foreigners, they are included in this, but most foreigners do have to pay for school, and the minimum they would have to pay is roughly about 2,000 euros for the first and second cycle. Keep in mind, this is for schooling programs where you don't get something like a doctorate. That costs a little bit more. But that is just a brief look at what these two great countries are. So what are your thoughts on Poland and Denmark? Because if you guys know anything that we missed in these videos, we would love to hear from you about what makes your country great. My name is Dave Walpole, and for all you viewers out there, I want to thank you guys from the deep bottom part of my heart for tuning in and learning about different cultures from all around the world. Once again, guys, here on the channel, we are not sitting there going, yo, Poland is better than Denmark. We're not doing that. This is just a look at both countries. And speaking of which, if you guys have a recommendation for a future video, please let us know down there in the comments section below. And as well, this video is brought to you by Grammarly.com. Grammarly.com is a great program that you can download for free, and it helps improve your grammar when you're typing online. It's actually really beneficial, guys. Trust me, I use it all the time. And before you guys get out of here, be sure to check out our other videos on Denmark and Poland. They're really quite amazing videos where you can learn a lot about the countries as well. But however, these are the two countries of Poland Poland and Denmark. Vastly different from one and another, but very similar in many ways. They are both great neighbors to each other, despite the fact that sometimes they may have issues with one another. But overall, the people of both countries remain hardworking and focused on making a better future for themselves and the places around them. For it is the pride that one has for their country that helps them reach out and shake the hands of another. Thanks for watching, guys. Now before you guys get out of here, hit the subscribe button and start learning about cool places around the world with us. And keep in mind, if you guys really like these videos, check out our European playlist because we are talking about some really cool countries that are in Europe. Other than that, if you guys like the Denmark video, be sure to check this video out on Denmark right here. But thanks for watching, guys. Again, hit the subscribe button, and of course, don't forget to leave a comment down there. And until next time, you have a great day, but we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye!